Hey folks, today we're covering Tinto Flavor 18, and this week Pavia is going to be talking to us about the Sultanate of Delhi, which is one of the most powerful Indian countries at the start of the game in 1337, and then the downfall of this realm that happened historically. But obviously in-game you can change if that happens or not, or even the computer could change that if they're being very smart. As always, they're going to start here with the opening text that you will see at country selection if you do want to play as this country, telling you about the recent history, and then maybe what is going to be happening in the near future. Next, we've got the graphical version of that. You can see the flag, the name, their current tier, what kind of country they are, the ruler there as well, and then the overview of the realm. So you can see the primary culture, Delavi, and you can see the primary religion, Sunnism, but then below you can actually see the breakdown of the actual realm itself. So although the primary religion is Sunnism, as you can see, Hinduism is actually the most kind of followed religion in this realm, because obviously the Sultanate is running their religion, but everyone that is below them is, sticking to what they know in this area of the world. And then in the next screenshot, we have the map that they currently start with. As you can see, the Sultanate of Delhi, huge realm. As I say, one of the most powerful ones in India at the start of the game. We saw a little bit about Orissa as well the other day, but a huge realm here. And then as you play through it, you're going to see the downfall and what happens with this realm. Next is going to be the diplomatic vassal list here. You can see them all in that row. All those realms that are vassalized to Delhi, and you can see that graphically in the next screenshot. All those slightly more teal realms, I guess you could call that color, I'm not too sure. They are the vassals that start at the beginning of the game with Delhi as their overlord. Next, they're going to show the starting government setup. This is for Delhi and the other Indian Muslim sultanates. So this is showing the kind of special names they have. So you have the crown, you have the Umara, which are the nobles in this area. You have the Ulama, which is the religious estate. You have the burghers, commoners, and then you also have the Dhimmi at the bottom there, probably butchering how that is said. And then next they're going to show off the government reform. This is Indian Sultanate. The modifier here is can build Mamluk barracks, monthly progress towards aristocracy, 0.10. So ruled by a Muslim minority, the Sultanates of India have had to evolve and expand the traditional Muslim ideas of kingship, bringing in those ideas into the Indian subcontinent. The next screenshot is of those Mamluk barracks. This is a military building. This gives you monthly manpower plus 25. Can recruit regiments here? Yes. The production method that we've seen across all these buildings, and then also the construction requirements as well. So you can build these, and then you can build more regiments in these areas. The next thing is another government reform. This is Talukder nobility, noble estate satisfaction equilibrium plus 5%. Has Talukder tax collection? Yes. Monthly progress towards traditional economy, 0.10. And then what does that tax collection do? You can see that in the next screenshot. This is actually a cabinet action that is special for this area. So this requires admin ability. So the better you are at admin, the kind of better you're going to be at doing this. Nobles power plus 50%. But then the good side of this, I guess, is peasant estate satisfaction equilibrium plus 10%. Maximum tax for the peasants plus 15, minimum tax for peasants plus 15 as well. So this will allow you to collect significantly more tax from your estates. The next thing they're going to show is the estate privilege, dharmic, dhimmi communities, tolerance of heathen beliefs plus 1, population conversion speed minus 100%, unrest minus 10% as well. Originally a term reserved for Christian and Israelite communities, the dharmi refers to the Hindu and other dharmic followers in the Muslim realms. So as we saw in that first screenshot, all those Hindus that live here under the control of the Sultanate. And then they've got another estate privilege here, protected faith of the common people, conversion of peasants, labourers and soldiers blocked, so you can't convert them. And then related to this, they're actually going to show off the rebels tab now. So as you can see here, all these rebels starting to become insurgents, starting to cause some trouble for the Sultanate. And then as we'll see later on with events, these are going to get a lot more powerful as you progress through the events of this realm. Next is a work of art. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. This is a monument. This is in Delhi, and this is a regional renowned work of art. Next is a bunch of advances you get as Delhi. So origin of Hindustani. This is available in the Age of Traditions. Diplomatic reputation plus 2. Next is Indo-Persian culture, available in the Age of Traditions as well. Cultural tradition plus 33%. That's a nice bonus, actually. The cultural side of things is something they've not really covered too much in the main dev diaries. They've had the odd talk about it here or there, but that side of the game, this would be very good for as you play through. Next one is again another cool one, Turkic Conqueror Roots. War score cost minus 10%, showing off the historical kind of origin of the rulers of this area at the moment. Next is reintegrate former provinces. This is in the Age of Renaissance. Speed of integration plus 10%. The once vast Delhi Sultanate has lost most of its former possessions, but we have not forgotten the means of administrating them. As we work towards restoring our past glory, we will remind local rulers of their duty to the Sultan. Next is Afghan nobility, age of discovery. This is available. Noble levy size plus 50%, which is a nice bonus. Monthly army tradition 0.03, and all those are going to help you in the events that are shortly coming as you play as Delhi, and we're going to start with those here. So shortly after the game begins, this situation will pop up, the Fall of Delhi, and this is the first event, the stretching reins of power, with some fantastic art on there. You can see the current ruler. The turning wheels of power have once again been favourable to us. Our predecessors fell to the might of the Turklak dynasty in 1320. Since then, vast swathes of the lands of India have fallen to our might. However, as time moves on, we have lost the favour of the people. We will weather the storm. You can try last this out. And if you select that option, the Fall of Delhi situation may commence soon. During that turbulent time, we will face great rebellions across our lands. Our neighbours and subjects will take up the sword against us, should our authority not recover in time. On the interior, the scheming nobility threaten to overthrow our unstable rule. Should the share of power of our foes grow more than 50%, we will fall into the dissolution of Delhi disaster, and some of that is going to be shown off here as well. So next you can see the darkest hour. Alas, years of decay, mismanagement, and overextension of our royal power has led us to this moment. The worst is yet to come, as it says, and that will cause some further event options. Some of our neighbours and subjects have chosen to take up arms against us. Should we defeat them or succeed in protecting our sovereignty, this will greatly help us in surviving this calamity. And you can see here, Liberty Desire, plus 50 for a whole bunch of areas here, and they're going to try rebelling against you, starting to cause these disasters, these issues to happen for you that you've got to try survive early game. And you can see next the actual situation title itself, The Fall of Delhi. A century of overextension and a crumbling central authority have hurt the rule and reputation of the mighty Delhi. And then next is the Fall of Delhi. This is Delhi's share of power. They will be victorious should they reach 100% before the dissolution of Delhi disaster commences. Next, they're going to show the share of power. This is the measure of the strength of a particular opposing side in the Fall of Delhi situation. Delhi can increase it through the following means: situation actions, events, special peace treaties, diplomatic support from other countries. Opposers can increase this through offensive wars and victories against Delhi. So you're on either side of this situation. We've seen this situation system used for a whole bunch of things now, like the 100 Years' War. Even the Black Death as well uses this. And next you're going to see this version of it. So the Fall of Delhi. Delhi at 0%, the start date of this happening. You can see the Sultan on the left, the Count on the right. And this is just going to play out as they've just said with all those different parameters. And then the main actions: send envoys, appoint governors, demand tribute, appease the nobles, strengthen neighbor relations, really trying to claw things back as the Sultanate, trying to reinforce your realm and it not fall into dissolution. And then, as they said, while this is active, you will get a bunch of events that are linked to it that can affect the outcome of it as well. So opposers' interference is the first one here. Our legendary conquests across India have amassed us a great number of dharmic subjects and enemies. So unfortunate is the option you could choose here. We gain opposers' interference forever. This effect will last until the Fall of Delhi situation and scale based on the number of countries that choose to oppose our rule. And then the opposers' interference modifier, a state satisfaction equilibrium 0.2, loyalty of subjects -0 in this example. This will scale depending on how many opposers you have. And then monthly rebel growth 0.01. Again, that will increase the more opposers you have, and that's going to cause those rebels that we saw earlier to get more and more powerful. And then they'll start rebelling against you as well. So a lot of things to keep an eye on. Next, they're going to show this off in game, and you can see on the right-hand side of this, the graphical version of the left-hand side. So one supports Delhi. That is obviously Delhi itself. You can see that in green. And then 123 support the other side. And you can see those in that kind of purple color as well. So that is pretty cool. I think the brown ones are the loyal vassals that you still have. So you're going to be up against quite a lot as Delhi, and whether you can ride this out. So the situation itself, this may last for a couple of years, or it might even go on for a couple of decades, creating a very challenging gameplay for Delhi and even more events that will pop up during this. So you can see the Mad Sultan of Delhi, with the rule of the Sultan raging on, his actions descend into madness once more. And you can choose here, by Allah, this must stop. As long as the Sultan is the ruler of Delhi, events surrounding him will fire. So from this, you'll get a bunch more events based on this sultan kind of going out of control. If he was replaced, it would stop these specific events from happening, unless I guess you get another ruler that triggers the system as well. Next, you can see the rise of the Habshi. It is true that no person can be the master of their fate throughout their life. This is even more evident for those whose harsh luck has thrown them into slavery. However, unlike most slaves from East Africa, the Habshi are slowly gaining influence within our court. They will be a valuable asset in our court is the option you can choose. And again, just above it in that more blue looking box, that is the historical background to this event, which is always nice to see. And you can see here the Habshi advisors, Dami allowed to lead, yes, monthly progress towards free subjects plus 10. So this is if you start leaning into allowing these having a little bit more power as well. So then how do you actually end this situation? They're going to show that next. The end requirements, at least one of these must be true. Delhi has at least 100% share of power, which they've already talked about. Opposers of Delhi have at least 100% power. Again, they already talked about that. Has decided to cede territories in the event our authority crumbles. So that's going to be where you give away the land. And then one of those advances earlier was about coming back and reconquering them in the future, re-annexing them into Delhi itself. The dissolution of Delhi disaster has started, which they're going to cover in a second. Or Delhi does not exist. Obviously, if Delhi's just defeated, this will end at that point. One of them that we just talked about there was the dissolution of Delhi disaster, and they're going to show this here. You are currently playing as Delhi. The fall of Delhi situation is active. Our opposition has at least 95% share of power during this situation. That will cause this to trigger by the looks of it. Although I think you have to have one of the other two that you can see there as well. The stability and legitimacy. That also needs to hit the requirement by the looks of it. Despite our best efforts, we have not been able to undo the damage wrought by our opposers. Our once great empire has spiraled into chaos and disaster, pretty much by the looks of it. And then that will trigger this to happen, the dissolution of Delhi event. Decades of solemn attempts to maintain our vast domain of our once great sultanate have produced no fruit. This is not good. I mean, that is a bit of an understatement. You will lose 20 stability, 10 legitimacy. The estate satisfaction of all estates will be reduced by 20. Our country rank will be reduced to duchy. So you're no longer a kingdom. And you can see more outcomes here as well. Delhi will gain estate satisfaction equilibrium minus 5%, stability investment 0.10 worse, monthly rebel growth plus 2%. So if you're not very good at this, if it starts falling apart, or maybe if you're like intentionally letting it fall apart, I guess, if you really do want to do that and then try regrow yourself, you can see all these modifiers stacking up that are going to make it very hard. While this disaster is active, some historical revolters may appear, including the Malwa. The player can choose to either keep playing as Delhi or start playing as one of these revolting nations. So we've seen this recently with a few of these dev diaries, and I say this every time. I really like when an event happens and a realm splits apart and you can choose to play as the other realm instead of the one you started as. I always like these options. It's cool to see it here again. So you can run off and just play as one of these revolters and kind of finish Delhi off as the other side of this situation. Besides all those situation-related events, obviously Delhi has a bunch of other events that can happen that aren't linked to this exactly. The first one here being the old seat of the Sultanate. With the plagues that have happened to the city of Delhi, we are forced to move our capital, hoping to avoid the death of anyone important in the Sultanate. With the plague now past us, we should consider plans to restore the old capital and migrate the court there. So Delhi is the true capital, or you can stick around in the old capital and not relocate back to Delhi. So again, a nice little cool option here. Do you want to move the capital back or not? Next is the establishment of a military force. Again, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of it. With the abundance of slaves in Delhi and the dynasty being on the throne, Malik has made plans for creating a standing army, a small force of elite slaves, and this will be a small force of elite slaves. Let us create this force, or Emitari guards are not exactly known for protecting their rulers. You know, historically, they didn't always do what they were supposed to do here. You can see this government reform here, the slave army, max literacy of slaves plus 5%, possible government reforms plus 1, character life expectancy minus 5. So really kind of baking into this, like, yes, you've got these new slave bodyguards, but they are slaves, and maybe they won't take too kindly to you being their ruler. Monthly progress towards quality 0.05 as well. Next, they're going to show an event all around building a new palace. The rural settlement of Hisar has caught the attention of our ruler. His eyes admire the place, seeing it as the perfect spot for his personal projects. Let us build a palace. So we're going to try build a masterpiece palace in Hisar. It's going to cost us 222 gold. And then you'll get this fantastic palace, I guess, and get the bonuses from building that as well. They don't show off what that gives, but we'll find out in the future, I'm sure. And with that, that is the end of the Dev Diary this week. So let me know what you think about everything you've seen in this Dev Diary. Some cool mechanics here. I really like the situation, like how long it's going to go on. The fact that even if you're playing as Delhi, you can actually like switch teams and play as one of these rebelling realms and then try finish off Delhi that you've been building up and trying to protect. Or again, you could intentionally ruin it, I guess, and then switch over and really push them out of India if you can achieve that. So that is pretty cool. And then at the end of the Dev Diary, they're going to just cover here what we're going to find out about next week. On Monday, we're going to get map feedback for India, which we already knew about. Tuesday, a very, very important one, obviously. Tinto Flavor about Sweden, hosted by Johan. We're going to see how overpowered Sweden are at the start of this game. They're never overpowered in any Paradox game. Wednesday, Tinto Talk is going to be about unit graphics, hosted by St. Dave. As I've said, that's going to be very interesting. Make sure you stick around for that one next week. And then Friday's Tinto Flavor is going to be about Muscovy and Russia. So that one's going to be fantastic. Finding out what you're going to be doing in that area of the world, the events. There's going to be so many interesting events there. And we're going to find out all about that next week. So do make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. As you can see, as we've had the official announcement of this game, they've really started to ramp up the information we're finding. We're basically getting 3 Dev Diaries a week now by the looks of it, so a lot of information coming our way, and we're just going to be finding out more and more about this game over the next coming weeks and months and things like that. But we'll leave it there for today, and I'll see you all next time.